Okay. And with you being around the Hells Angels, even though you weren't an official member, you were expected to act accordingly with the way that they conducted business. And there's a lot of very set rules when it comes to the Hells Angels. Like, for example, if you leave the Hells Angels, under, good conditions, you could go on with your life. But if you do something to the point that, you violated their rules, then there's a serious amount of payback. And if you have tattoos, Hells Angels tattoos, they actually cut the tattoos off of you, right?
Well, you're generally correct. They claim that anything that says Hells Angels or has their death head insignia belongs to the gang, belongs to them. And so there's people that leave the gang in good standing, and they'll tattoo an out date, their exit date from the gang, or have that tattoo covered up. There's also times where the Hells Angels have taken back those tattoos with violence, either covering them up with another tattoo, burning them off, cutting them off. But they believe that tattoo, if it has their insignia or their name on it, is their property.
Okay, were you involved when they would burn or cut off a tattoo?
I was involved in the kind of the hostile cover-up of a tattoo. I was never present for one being burned off or cut off, but I was present where we grabbed a member of the Hells Angels that was going to be kicked out of the gang in bad standing, and he basically had him held down while his tattoos were covered up in a very sloppy way, and eliminated so that he had nothing on him that indicated that he was ever a part of the gang.
Well, there was a situation when a rival gang, the Banditos, were coming to Las Vegas. And they asked you to do something in that situation.
Actually, to correct you, no, I'm sorry, you're correct. Did you say Banditos?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, the Banditos were going to be having an event in Las Vegas. The Hells Angels believed that Las Vegas was their territory, that they controlled it. No one had asked the Hells Angels permission. And so I was called to the Skull Valley clubhouse and told to bring all my hardware, which in street terms was guns and knives. And I was given explicit instructions that I was going to go to Las Vegas, that I was going to be staged up waiting for the Banditos to show up, and that when they showed up, my instructions were, you need to shoot them before they get their kickstands down. And we're going to be watching you from a distance. And if you don't shoot them, we're going to shoot you.
Okay, what happens next?
Well, in that trip from Skull Valley, Arizona to Las Vegas, I was able to get a hold of the ATF case agent and give him a briefing on what was taking place as I was moving towards Las Vegas. The case agent was a guy named Joe Slatella, who was, in my 27 years, was the best, smartest, most dynamic, most efficient case agent I ever worked for. I've said many times that if my kids were kidnapped or if my family was in danger and I could pick one guy to solve that problem, it would be Joe Slatella. And so Slats, his nickname was Slats, he found this pack of Banditos before they arrived at this target location and did a traffic stop on them and held them in place. So in the eyes of the Hells Angels, me and other people that were there to participate in this ambush of the Banditos, the targets of the ambush never showed up. Slats had arranged for them to be traffic stopped and held. But in the eyes of the Hells Angels, they didn't know that. They didn't know why they weren't there. All they know is that Jaybird and these other people that were sent there were ready and willing to take care of business.
Okay, well, let's just say that the phone call you made to try to stop the Banditos from showing up didn't work, and they showed up anyways. Now you're there with your guns, expected to shoot them, or else you would get shot. What would you have done in that situation?
Well, you know what? Like hypotheticals are tough, but I'll answer the question. It's better to have a plan and not need it than to need a plan and not have it. So if they would have shown up, and I would have been on the point. I intended to fire my weapon. I wasn't going to shoot anybody. I wasn't going to murder or assassinate anybody, but I would have got some off-target rounds off. That was at least the plan that I had in my head. I would have got some off-target rounds off. And in the end, if they would have said, "Hey, man, you didn't hit anybody," I'd say, like, "I'm a shitty shot. What do you want me to do?"
Okay. So you're continuing to hang around the Hells Angels, but you're not actually a member yet. You're just what's the term? A hanger-on or
Well, I started as a hang-around, which is a club term for someone who's hanging around. Their members are deciding if you're right for the club, and you're deciding if club life is right for you. Then ultimately, I was promoted to a prospect, which is a prospective member. And so, as a prospect, you're basically a step and fetch for the members. You're taking orders, you're taking assignments, you're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to prove yourself worthy of being a full member.
Okay. And to escalate things, you came up with an idea of killing a rival gang member, someone from the Mongols.
That's partially correct. I didn't really come up with the idea. When I first started associating with the Hells Angels, and now I'm, in essence, working for them and alongside them, I asked a very simple question. What is my responsibility? What instructions do you have for me if I cross paths with a Mongol? The answer was very quick. It's your job to kill them. We kill Mongols. And they don't refer to the Mongols. They don't use their name. They don't use the gang name Mongols. They refer to them as the girls. We kill girls. They don't want to give them the respect of actually speaking their name. And so for close to 2 years, I held that information in my back pocket. Towards the end of the case, towards the end of the investigation, and during those 2 years, constantly I was hearing about kill Mongols, kill Mongols, kill Mongols. It was a nonstop mantra that was repeated over and over. I went to the leadership of the charter I was in and told them that there was a Mongol in Mexico that I'd become aware of, that he was threatening to start running methamphetamine up over the Mexican border into Arizona. There was nothing the Hells Angels could do about it. And he was talking about how the Mongols had whipped the Hells Angels' ass in Laughlin and was running his mouth down in Mexico. And I volunteered to go down, find this Mongol in Mexico and kill him.
Okay, so what happens next?
So one of the officers in Skull Valley gave me a pistol. It had an obliterated serial number on it. He told me how to commit the murder, told me to get rid of the gun. Any normal, everyday, common person who, when is presented with a plan to commit a murder, is going to be running the other direction while they're dialing 911. It was not the case with these guys. It was encouraging. They wanted me to go do it, gave me the instructions. And then, so we took a living, breathing member of our task force. We put a Mongol cut on him that had been seized in evidence from a previous case. We dug a shallow grave out in the desert. We duct taped the wrists and ankles of this task force member. We put him in this shallow grave. We had a homicide detective who came and used blood and guts from the butcher shop to make the victim appear that he'd been beaten with a baseball bat in the head and shot in the head. Then I took pictures of that. I cut the bloody Mongol vest off the victim and took it back to the Skull Valley Hells Angels as evidence that I had done the murder as the way I described I was going to.
Okay, and how did they react when they saw that?
Well, they embraced it. They praised it. The Skull Valley officers said, welcome to the gang. You're a Hells Angel now. You've shown that you are willing to take care of business. One of them put a vest on my back and said, you can wear this vest until we get you your own. And I actually handed them their vest back. I said, I'm not wearing another man's cut. Like, you get me my own cut. You get me my cut. I'm not taking any loaners. We went out deep into the desert and started a fire and burned all the evidence, burned the pictures of the Mongol murder, burned the bloody vest, burned the disc that the camera pictures were on, destroyed all the evidence.
Right. And after all this came out later on, the founder of the Hells Angels, Sonny Barger, said that you were never actually a patched up full member, right?
You know what? I've never disputed that, and there's like that's always been confusing to me in the fact that, look, I know they hate me. I know they hate me for what I did and how I did it. I understand that. I expected that, but I never said either personally or privately. I never spoke or wrote that I got some final vote, some worldwide or national vote to become a Hells Angel member. I never claimed that. They're trying to play it like I did. All I ever said was the truth, was that the officers in Skull Valley, when I presented them with the murder of the Mongol, and when they believed it, they told me, you're a Hells Angel now, consider yourself a member, act like a member, wear our cut, and we're going to go get you that vote, which never happened. Whether they like it or not, and I understand that they don't, that's the truth.